It's Monday at 7 p.m. in South Africa, which means it's project live stream time with the Expedition Project. Send us a hello just to let us know you're out there and where in the world you're watching this from, or where in South Africa you're watching this from. If you're watching this on replay, thank you so much as well. Please feel free to send us a message and your comments as well whenever you do watch this. For those of you that are new to the Expedition Project, my name is Roger, a proud founder of this project that's now fast approaching its 10th year of driving change in conservation and community development. So through our annual sustainable expeditions and virtual tours, we aim to share success stories as well as define challenges, and with that, open up collaborations and partnerships. But back to tonight. I'm really looking forward to talking with today's guest. There's something so simple, effective, and beautiful about the project and discussion today. So yeah, let's check it out.
At our very first lesson in July 2009, we had 12 kids and 12 dogs arrive. Within 6 weeks, it had grown to 60. And that's when we realized that we were onto something. And today we average 80 to 100 children every Friday afternoon. Over the course of a year, we probably are seeing about 270 kids enter the program.
With that, I'm thrilled to have Lisa from Funda Nenja join us for tonight's live stream. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing?
Hi, Roger. Well, thanks, and yourself?
Yeah, very, very good. Sure, you must be chilly in the Drakensberg area right now. Is that right?
Yeah, it is rather. I think it was -2 this morning, so it is a little bit chilly.
Oh my God! Let's just show everyone exactly whereabouts you are. Just give everyone a little bit of perspective and whereabouts in South Africa, and then whereabouts in KZN you are. So you're pretty close to the Drakensberg Mountains, is that right?
Yeah, I think about an hour's drive, so from where I am. So it's pretty nippy. You can feel the cold in the air now. Winter is approached with a vengeance.
So just a reminder to all of you that are watching and tuning in, you can post your questions for us to answer, but don't worry if we don't answer your questions immediately. We want to give Lisa a chance to talk through and give us a little overview for about 10 minutes or so. And then we're going to follow that up with an open discussion. So Lisa, how are you gonna kick off the chat tonight?
I've got a little presentation that I've put together, which sort of sums up everything that we do. It's hard to cover every single aspect of Funda Nenja, but I'll do my best to cover the most important areas. So yeah, I've got a little presentation that'll give everybody an idea of what we do every week.
Perfect, cool. Okay, well, let's go for it. Take it away.
Super, thanks, Rog.
Okay, we can see your presentation. Looks good.
Right. So Funda Nenja basically translates from isiZulu to learning with the dog. It was started just over 10 years ago by Adrian Olivier, and it is based in Mpopameni Township, which is just outside Howick, KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, and has approximately 30,000 inhabitants at the moment. We meet every Friday afternoon at one of the local primary schools, where we have approximately just under 100 kids who arrive with their dogs for our classes. We focus on force-free positive reinforcement training methods. This means that we don't condone any negative reinforcement. No punishment is allowed. The children use treats as a reward. So they'll ask the dog to perform a behavior, and as soon as it performs a behavior, it's rewarded with a treat. If they don't perform the behavior, the children are encouraged to persevere rather than get upset or get angry and frustrated. So it teaches the children a lot of patience. When the kids arrive, they are all given a juice and a piece of fruit, which is very kindly donated by one of our local supermarkets. And our aim is to create bonds. These children, a lot of them, when they arrive for the first time with their dogs, they either don't know how to handle their dogs, they're afraid of their dogs, some believe they're dirty. A perfect example, excuse me, the child in the top right-hand corner with his dog rolling on his back. He was terrified of his puppy when he first joined. Every time the puppy tried to play with him and jumped up at him, he screamed and jumped away. And within a few weeks of us educating him and explaining that the dog just wanted to play with him, we started to see this amazing bond forming. And that's what we aim to do with all the children. They need to understand that these dogs have the same feelings and emotions that humans do. Because a lot of them, you know, when they get their first dog, they don't understand that the dog has feelings and emotions. It's just an object. So that's one of our main aims, is to teach them that these dogs do have emotions and feelings, and that they can create these incredible bonds with their dogs. We do this through our dog training classes. They go through sort of basic obedience classes. So it's your usual sit, down, stay, loose leash walking, etc. We don't do any competition work. So it's just a case of the children learning to work with their dogs and using the positive force-free training methods, which creates a much more gentle, calm, and patient environment for all of them. At the end of each month, the dogs are all promoted onto the next class according to their ability and how they performed in the month they've just been in that class. Apart from the obedience, they also love to do their tricks. Some of the common ones are shaking hands. There's the leopard crawl, the rollover, and these kids get a huge kick out of teaching their dogs these tricks, and they love to take the dogs home and show their family and friends what they've learned at Funda Nenja. Then on the first Friday of every month, we take in the new children who want to join. We have between 20 and 30 new kids that join every month. So when they come in, they'll be split up into various groups according to the age of the puppies or the dogs. And then they will come through the admin section where the details are taken down. And then they'll go through to our veterinary clinic. This veterinary clinic is run by a wonderful group of volunteers. We've got a vet nurse, a vet tech, veterinarian, and a whole lot of other helpers that come along and help. This veterinary team will check out each and every dog that comes in. They'll all be given a general health check. They will be dewormed. They'll be treated for ticks and fleas and given their rabies vaccinations. And those puppies that are old enough will also receive their 5-in-1 vaccinations. If we discover that some puppy or dog is needing more advanced medical care, then we work with the Howick Small Animal Clinic, who will take the dogs in. They'll treat them for whatever the condition is, and then once they're well enough, we will return them back to Mpopomeni. Each child that joins the program gets an educational pack, and this basically consists of little booklets and flyers explaining to them how they need to take care of their dogs. So it'll be things like don't chain your dog, why it's bad to keep a dog on a chain, that dogs need water every single day, illness symptoms, how to spot if the dog's not well. There's pamphlets on rabies awareness, etc., etc. And recently we've added in a flyer explaining COVID-19 and the precautions that they need to take. These children will take this whole pack home after they've registered with us, so they can go through it and read it at home, and it is in isiZulu, so it's easy for them to understand. We've recently started a pre-puppy class because we were getting some of the children, you can see in these pictures, some of them are quite young children as well, but they were bringing their puppies to join Funda Nenja, and the puppies were too young to join the actual obedience school. But we didn't want to turn them away, because by the time they came back a month later, they would have not had any education, whereas they could have had something from us in the meantime. So we just sit these kids down together, and one of our lovely volunteers will go through the basic ideas of how they need to look after their puppies, how to hold a puppy, not to play roughly with the puppy. They explain that their bones are still soft and they need to be careful with their pups, that the pups need to eat 3 times a day, etc., etc. So it's basically just a pre-entry class where they just get education, explaining how they need to take care of these little pups in these early days. Then moving into our dog school, we start off with puppy 1 class, and it goes all the way through to adult 7, which is our advanced class. And to watch this advanced class is actually quite breathtaking, because their handling skills are quite remarkable. Some of them have developed into really, really amazing dog handlers by the time they reach this adult 7 class. Then we have our kennel project. A lot of the dogs in Mpopomeni don't have any shelter at all, or they have very basic, rustic, homemade shelters, which over time start to fall apart. So we realized there was a need for decent shelter for these dogs. So we have these kennels specifically made for us. They're very, very nicely made. And then we sell them to the community at a very nominal amount. And the kids are very excited to be able to take home a brand new kennel. And you'll see there's all sorts of different methods in which they use to get their kennels home. When the dogs join, especially the young puppies, most of them don't have decent collars and leads. So all the puppies and dogs will be fitted with correctly fitting humane collar. We don't allow any choke chains or any harsh equipment at all. If they arrive with any inhumane collars on, they are confiscated and destroyed, and they're replaced with a nice, kind collar. And then we also give them a free bowl, so that they have their own food bowl at home, and they don't have to ask their moms for a bowl out the kitchen. Another very important part of our program is our home visits. Here we have Namondi, who's our education officer. She is passionate about her job. She is a huge animal lover and will help any animal on the side of the road, be it horses, pigs, goats, cows, dogs, you name it. Namondi will go to each and every house of the children who join the program, and she will check on the basic animal welfare needs of the dogs at home. So she's basically following up that what we're teaching the kids at Funda Nenja is being followed through at home. And she will educate them if they're going wrong. She will go back a week later and see if the changes have been made. She will help them. She will report back to me and say, this family needs help with X, Y, and Z. And we will assist. If she comes across a situation where the family is not prepared to help, a dog is constantly on a chain and it has no shelter, etc., we will go back to them a week later, and if no changes have been made, we do then report them to our local SPCA, who will take over the case from there on. But 90% of the time, the owners do work with us, and they do what they can to ensure that the dog's welfare needs are being met. Our social worker is Renee, and she goes along with Namondi on the home visits. Renee will check on the social welfare of the family. So she'll speak to whoever the caregivers are at home, the parents, the gorkos, whoever's looking after the children, and just have a general chat with them and get a feeling for how the social situation is in their home. If they have any needs, any situation that requires counseling, Renee is there to offer that free of charge. She also assists with applying for social grants, disability grants. She helps them apply for children's IDs, birth certificates, etc. And she also helps work with the children and young adults who have substance abuse issues. There is a drug problem in Mpopomeni that a lot of the youngsters are involved with. So she's working quite closely with a few of the children to try and help them overcome their addiction. And in conjunction with that, she works with the families that are dealing with these children that have these addiction issues. Then we have our sterilization project, which sterilizations are a prerequisite. Every dog that joins the program has to sign up for sterilization. Otherwise, they're not allowed to continue with the program. We have a wonderful vet, Dr. Lee Pakanik, who does all our sterilizations for us. We were previously holding monthly sterilization clinics in Mpopomeni, but due to COVID-19, we've changed our system slightly for the time being, and we're holding them at her practice. We're doing 2 small clinics a month instead of 1 big clinic. So we're very grateful to her, and she does an amazing job, and we get as many dogs sterilized. We generally have between 10 and 12 dogs sterilized every month. Then, of course, the dreaded COVID-19 arrived, and like everybody else, it took us by surprise, and we had to think outside the box because we couldn't focus on our dog school. We weren't allowed to go out and hold classes. We couldn't see the children. We couldn't see their families, and we felt like we were really abandoning them. But we were fortunate enough to be able to apply for a permit as an essential services worker, and we could go out into the township and do food relief. So we were really, really grateful for this because it was a way to keep in contact with our Funda Nenja families, make sure that they were fed, that there weren't any urgent needs, and also check in with the dogs and make sure that everything was okay. We were very grateful that we didn't have any animal emergencies during the main lockdown, level 5. And then in level 4, we were actually able to start getting out more and more and servicing the community even more. The families were very, very grateful. Together with the food parcels, we handed out masks for all the members of the family, and we also gave them information on COVID-19. A lot of these families, especially in this particular slide, they live right up on the top of the mountain. They don't have any running water or electricity, so it's very rural, and they probably have not had any access to any information about COVID-19. So the information that we gave them was vital. And along with the food parcels, we were very fortunate to have funding, which enabled us to buy a substantial amount of dog food. And we've been supplying dog food to the community since the beginning of lockdown. So we are quite confident that none of the dogs are going hungry unnecessarily. There's enough food out there, and we will continue to do so. Our veterinary clinic was up and running not so long ago. I think it was level 4. We started with our veterinary clinics again. So we go out to Mpopomeni every Friday, and the children can, or adults can, bring their dogs to us for any veterinary need that they have. Again, we haven't seen too many sick or injured dogs that need urgent care. We've had 1 or 2, but the majority of them are just coming for inoculations, deworming, tick and flea, that sort of thing. Every year we do our winter warmth drive, and this year we were concerned because of COVID-19 as to whether we would be able to hold our winter warmth drive again, but thankfully we have been able to, and we've recently been giving out a pack to each child, which contains a beanie for the child, a blanket for the child, and a blanket for the dog. So just in time for this nasty cold snap that we've had, we've managed to dish out enough blankets for almost the whole dog school. We've got a few left, which we're going to hand out this week. Then these were some of the pups that came to our Friday. The Friday just passed, we had our first intake day. We've decided to start with the intake. We can't hold our full dog school at this stage because it will be a gathering of over 50. So we had 30 new children that joined the program, and they each got their information pack. They each got a free bag of dog food, and the dogs all got a little jersey just in time for winter. Something that we are desperately in need of is a vehicle. We often go not quite off-road, but some of the roads are really, really bad. They're not tarred, they're dirt, they've been eroded by rain, and the vehicles that our volunteers are using are just not coping with the roads. So we're hoping that the car guards are looking from above and will give us a lovely vehicle at some point in our future, because it is very much needed, and we want to convert it with some cages on the back so that we can safely transport dogs backwards and forwards. So we're holding thumbs that there'll be some angels somewhere that will fund us a vehicle. Basically, education is key to this whole program. Like with everything else, if we don't educate the children, the change is not going to happen. One of the most important things that we teach the children is compassion and kindness. And a lot of these children don't receive that compassion and kindness in their own homes. So it's impossible for them to learn it if they're not receiving it from anyone. So we find it very important to show the children that if they are kind and compassionate to the animals, how rewarding it is and what they get back from the animals. And we see this all the time. I mean, we see the most amazing relationships developing between the kids and their dogs. So it's most definitely working, which is why we keep at it, because we can see all the happy faces and the wagging tails from the dogs. It's definitely, without a doubt, it is working.
Sure. Wow, Lisa. Absolutely amazing. You know, dogs and children. I don't know how you do it. It's incredible.
Yeah, two of the hardest things to work with, and we put them together.
They say in filmmaking that working with animals or children is some of the hardest things you could do. So, I mean, and from watching that, I can see there's definitely more challenges than even I thought, you know, in sort of looking from the outside and what you guys do, and the detail in which you go into the project is so much more than I think probably any of us imagine.
Yeah, you know, we started off. I've been with the program for about 6 years now, but in the beginning, it started off as a purely animal welfare based organization. But it became very evident that you couldn't work only with the dogs. You had to work with the children and then with their families, because it's a ripple effect throughout the community, and it all goes hand in hand. You can't fix the dog if the child's broke, if that makes sense. You know, if the child has got issues at home, then you can't expect the child who's being abused at home to be loving and compassionate to his dog.
Exactly.
So that's when we realized we had to focus on both equally.
Okay, I'll get your questions ready. We're going to show a little bit more footage from Funda Nenja's work now, and then we're going to be right back with some Q&A. And not a dry eye in the house, I tell you. That footage is just unbelievable. It's so good. I tell you what, you must be smiling every Friday when you sort of run the actual sessions. You must be just beaming ear to ear seeing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like our fix. It's like our weekly fix. We go home on such a high at the end of a Friday.
So we're getting so many nice questions coming through now, and I think seconding what I've just said, Tanya says those pictures of children's puppies are just so gorgeous. I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, can you put into a frame anything better than like a child and a puppy? It's just ridiculous.
I know.
Tanya then followed up with a question saying, what do you most need in terms of donations? I know you spoke about a vehicle. Is that probably your priority at the moment?
Yeah. It is a priority at the moment. Obviously, that's our biggest, most expensive need. And apart from the vehicle, collars and leads are something we go through a lot of. Currently, we are okay for dog food, but that is something that we normally do ask for. But at the moment, we've had some wonderful donations. So I would say collars and leads at the moment are the most needed, especially now that we're starting to do more. Take the new children in, those 30 that came in, I'd say at least about 25 of those needed collars and leads when they arrived. So that's probably our second most important thing on the list at the moment.
Have you started,
and dog bowls, dog toys, that kind of thing.
Have you started synergizing with manufacturers of dog products and stuff like that? So anything like that? Is that managed? I'm sure that's so difficult, but
I think a lot of the companies don't want to support us on a regular basis, so they do periodically. They'll, every once in a while say, hey, we're going to support you this month and we'll give you dog toys or dog bowls or blankets. So yeah, some of the dog manufacturing companies and even the dog feed store manufacturers have come to the party with donations. Yeah, but they obviously don't want to commit long term. It's a periodic thing.
Of course. And Joan says, how many people you got working for Funda Nenja at the moment?
Sure. We have our instructors all come from the community. So all the dog classes that are broken up into I think there's 10 classes in total. Each have an instructor, which are young boys from the community, and they're on a stipend. And there's I think we've got about 25 of them on the register at the moment. We've got 4 paid employees, and then we have about 10 or 15 volunteers that help out. But again, some of them come some Fridays, some of them come every Friday. So it's quite an extensive team we have at the moment.
Okay.
A wonderful team. I'm very, very grateful, especially to our volunteers who give up their time.
I'm sure it ends up being work of passion more than anything. It's yes. You've got to get into something like this if you really believe and are passionate about it, I would presume.
Absolutely. Yes, no, for sure.
So we got a question here. It says, thanks for sharing your work. What's the most challenging part of your charity's work? And what would best support your sustainability and expansion?
Well, I think the most challenging at the moment is the COVID-19 situation, not being able to do everything, not being able to get fully back into the running of the program that we had. We're really looking forward to the kids. When you drive through in Popomeni, the kids often stop us and say, when can we come back to Funda Nenja? We miss Funda Nenja. We need to come back. So that is definitely a challenge. I think a lot of an ongoing challenge is working with different communities and different what's the word? I've gone blank. Sorry. I've gone completely blank. Sorry. Their customs, are different, and the way they see things is different. And we've got to understand how they see things and how their customs are different to ours. So it's a case of understanding them and not just telling them they're wrong, that's not how it's supposed to be done, but rather show them a different way and encourage them to think outside the box and to think maybe it can be done differently. It doesn't have to be done like this because my forefathers all did it like this.
Yeah.
And that can be a challenge. And then the best support. Obviously, financial support is our biggest thing. Fundraising is ongoing. And again, because of COVID-19, we don't know where we stand in the future because it's hit the world. It's not just a South African problem.
Yeah.
And, funders from overseas are in a position now where they're saying, we're not sure how much we can help you. So that is an issue going forward.
Okay. And Katrina says, it all sounds amazing. How do you deal with stressed or aggressive dogs? That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a very good question, because we do see a lot of stressed dogs. You know, what we see is they arrive at Funda Nenja incredibly stressed. And once they've joined the program and they are taught how to de-stress their dogs and how to calm their dogs and keep them more relaxed in the class, we see a lot of those stressed dogs becoming completely different and much more relaxed. We never allow those dogs to be in a tight group. When they're in their class, those dogs are kept a little bit out of the class to the side, so they're not under any pressure. Aggressive dogs, we don't have a lot of them. You know, the dogs in Mpopomeni, a lot of them sort of roam around freely. They're not all contained in their yards. They're all well socialized. They get on with everybody. And they've all grown up together. I mean, we very, very seldom you'll find on the field where there'll be 80, 90 dogs, you might have a scuffle once a month, you know, and it'll be a minor thing. We've never had a bad, touch wood, never had a bad incident with aggressive dogs, you know, really getting into each other. So aggressive dogs is not a major issue.
Not a big one. Okay. Aidan says, fantastic initiatives. Well done.
Thank you.
Joan then also said a follow-up question: where does your funding come from primarily?
We have obviously local people who fund. We've got a lot of individuals who do regular donations, which we're very, very grateful for. We have got Dogs Trust Worldwide from the UK who are currently funding us, and then also some local organizations that have supported us in the past. But again, you know, a lot of these big organizations don't fund for more than 3 to 5 years. So that's the constant challenge, is you might have somebody who's funding you now, but you know it's not going to be ongoing. So, you know, you've got to constantly be looking for new funding opportunities. And in the past, it's, you know, overseas money is always worth more than South African money. So we've had funding from the States. Locally in South Africa.
And I know it's always hard when you're a charity or small or medium-sized charity and everything to plan too much in the future. There's obviously lots of things that you want to do, but it's all ends up being funding dependent, of course. But what are your kind of visions and long-term plans in an ideal world then?
You know, it's difficult to think too far in advance, but ultimately we would love to have our own veterinary clinic. Because at the moment, you know, if we have anything that's beyond our primary veterinary care, we have to send it out to a clinic or to the SPCA. But we would love to have our own internal clinic. That would be great. And I think more volunteers and more helpers, because we can't grow as an organization. We can't take on more children if we don't have the team, a big enough team. And at the moment, our team is sort of at capacity. So, you know, to grow that team would be wonderful, but to try and find volunteers is tricky.
And with you saying that, would international volunteers be something that would help the organization? And in particular, would sort of vet students and something like that, would if they came out and were helping you develop that side, would that be good?
Yes and no. I must be honest, we've had a few overseas vet students come out, and, you know, South Africa's very different to the rest of the world, and especially in a rural community. You know, the dogs are tough. The dogs can withstand a lot more than sort of the dogs in England or the dogs in America. There they tend to be a lot more mollycoddled than our township dogs. And we've had a couple of vet students come out and say, oh, no, but you can't do that. That's not the right way to do it. And we said, no, it's actually quite all right. These dogs are tough. They can cope with it. But obviously we welcome all volunteers, and obviously somebody with veterinary experience would be more than welcome. But, you know, they wouldn't be able to do that on a regular basis, obviously.
Sure.
What we're needing is regular, committed people on a regular basis.
Of course. And presumably with projects like this, anything when you're dealing with the community and with children, it's not something you can just dip in and out of. You've got to build that relationship with the dogs as much as with the children as well.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've got some kids that have, really just taken to us, and they come running up to you and throw their arms around you when they get there on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, relationships are important.
It's amazing. So Brenda says, really great project, important for people to love that which is closest to them, and if to have a ripple effect onto animals and conservation. Thank you for teaching the children love and compassion, which will also benefit their lives in the long term. I mean, such a lovely message there.
Yes, absolutely. No, it really does have a ripple effect. We've had parents come and thank us for the work that we do because they've seen the change in their children. Some of them have even said their schoolwork has improved. So it really does have a ripple effect.
And Joan says, how far do the kids walk to their classes?
Some of them walk up to 5 kilometers to get to us. I'd say the majority, it's between 2 and 3 kilometers, but yeah, some do walk 5 Ks to get to us. Wow. And then it's 5 Ks back home again.
Oh, amazing. Okay, Tanya says, love this one. Thank you, Expedition Project. And then followed up, said, as you said, Lisa, there's so much more than dog training. You're giving these children such amazing life skills and teaching them so much. I mean, absolutely. Just like you were saying, that compassion and understanding and education element. I mean, it truly is, sounds a cliche, but there's nothing without education, is there really?
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking of education, we've actually just managed to get 2 children out of a very poor school in Mpopomeni into a small private school in Howick.
Oh, wow.
They were showing such potential, and they were really not going anywhere in the school that they were in. And we've managed to get them into school. But sadly, it happened just before COVID-19, so they haven't been able to go back to school, but they've been working online, and we've been giving them data for working on the computer. So they've been doing quite well. So we're very excited to be able to help them get a better education.
It's amazing. So Katrina says, what are you busy with the rest of the week? So you've got the actual lessons and classes, the majority of people that come in on Friday. Presumably the rest of the week, there's a whole lot of other little aspects like you were showing in your presentation going on.
Yeah. Look, I'm busy doing all the marketing and the fundraising. I also oversee the staff that's out of Mpopomeni that work. We've got a lady there 4 days a week. That's our education officer, so she does the home visits and then reports back to me with all her findings. There's obviously reporting to funders. There's all the admin work. There's all the little bits and pieces that I can't even think off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm kept busy from early till late. So there's lots of behind the scenes stuff that goes on. And then if we get any emergency vet calls, we've got to shoot out and pick up. I took a dog today. We had a case where our welfare vet was doing a sterilization, and she put a dog under, and as she put her on the table to spay her, she realized she was in season. So she said, look, if I sterilize this dog, it cannot go back into the township, because if a male was to mate with her, it can be life-threatening. Wow. And we couldn't guarantee that she would be kept away from other male dogs for the rest of her season. So we phoned our local boarding kennels, who are huge supporters of us, and they put her up for 2 weeks. And today she was ready to go home, so I went and fetched her, and we met the child, and he came and fetched her and took her home, and she was over the moon to see her child again. So there's all these little bits and pieces that happen, and then there's collecting donations. I get phone calls a couple of times a week and say, oh, we've got a basket of donations, somebody's dropped off something. So there's lots of in-between stuff that happens as well, keeping it going.
Absolutely. And I mean, even with COVID and all of that, and the food parcels and all those little bits that, I mean, you're probably so integrated into the community now that obviously when something like COVID happens, you're just gonna want to get involved and help out there as well.
Yeah. And we just had to learn how to think outside the box. We couldn't hold our full dog school, so we said, well, the need at the moment is food parcels. So we were able to dish out food parcels to all the Funda Nenja families.
Is that something that you're able to sort of redirect funds when something like that happens? Is that quite an easy thing to do, or do you have to go and outsource for more funding to do that?
We were fortunate. We had run a food parcel drive towards the end of last year, and we got an outstanding um, response from the community, from just local community, and even funders from overseas. And we had kept that money aside to do food parcels when it was necessary. And then COVID-19 hit, and we said, "Oh, fantastic! We've got funding we've kept aside specifically for food parcels." So we didn't have to do another food drive. We had sufficient funds to cover that. So it was wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Joan says, absolutely amazing work. My dream project is to set up a similar project in the Eastern Cape, much smaller community to work with, but just as important.
Absolutely. We actually wanted to, we were going this year, and we were supposed to do it June or July. We were going to hold a workshop for people who wanted to start a similar organization, because it's very much needed throughout the country.
Definitely.
And we have a lot of people contact us and say, "How do I start? Where do I start? What do I do?" And we were going to hold a 2-day workshop where they could come and watch us in action on a Friday afternoon. And then on the Saturday, we'd have a presentation and a Q&A, and go through, all of the questions people had that wanted to start something similar. But of course, with COVID-19, that hasn't been possible.
Cool.
So we've just postponed that for now.
Fantastic idea, though. I mean, similar, I know a long time ago, they started up a recycling swap shop just outside of Cape Town. And then before you know it, there were several recycling swap shops all over South Africa. So I sort of see a Funda Nenja franchise maybe in the works. That'd be amazing.
It would be, yeah. No, we do encourage people to start them up wherever they can, because it's a huge need throughout the country. So it would be great if more people could start it.
Amazing. Let's have a look and see what else we got. Heartwarming lessons from an inspiration. Your work sounds absolutely crucial to lots of communities. Thank you, Lisa. Pour power to you all.
Thank you.
Here's another one from Joan. Says, do you go out and assist if called out about a sick animal, or are there other animal welfare sort of organizations that can help with that?
We do, if it's convenient. I mean, sometimes we get a call at night, which obviously is not ideal. If we are not able to get there, we do call the local SPCA to help us, and they do go out and pick up the animal. But if we are in the area, or it's convenient and we're there, or we're on our way out there, whatever, we do pick them up and we take them through to the Howick Small Animal Clinic, and they do the treatments there, and then we take them back again afterwards.
Amazing.
So we don't turn our backs on anyone. So if we can't do it, we call the SPCA and they go and help us.
Yeah. Okay, incredible. And another one from Joan. She says, sorry for all the questions. She's clearly loving this chat. She says, do you charge anything to pupils or for the vet costs?
No, it's all entirely for free. The sterilizations, the inoculations, the ticket fee, everything. Whatever the dog needs, there's no charge.
Absolutely incredible. And then she just says, finally, please still do the workshop.
We will. We really will. We've just got to wait until this dreaded COVID-19 has passed, and we will definitely. But it'll be on our Facebook page. So, Joan, you can just keep watching our Facebook page, and we'll let everybody know when it's scheduled for.
Fantastic. So to round off, Lisa, is there any immediate sort of call to action that you can think of, something that people can do to help out, like right now?
There's nothing different at the moment. I mean, COVID-19 obviously has thrown everybody for a spin, but we seem to be coping quite well, considering. There's nothing out of the norm that we need assistance with. So all those things I mentioned earlier is pretty much what we're needing on a regular basis. The vehicle obviously is number one. We've been needing a vehicle for some time now, but that's definitely our priority right now. Okay. But other than that, just the usual donations and funds coming in is what we need to keep going.
Well, it just obviously proves what an amazing job you do, that you get to a situation right now where so many people struggle, and you guys are still able to continue your work in some shape or form, which just obviously deserves a massive congratulations to you, because that's not easy for a charity to cope with a situation like this.
Yeah, no, I think we're also passionate about what we do, and so determined to keep going and not let them down. And when you get the feedback from the people, when you drive through and they come running and ask you, when can we come back to Funda Nenja, you can't let them down, you can't turn your backs on them, and we have to do what we have to do. As I said, think outside the box and do whatever we can until everything gets back to normal.
Okay. Just going to sneak in one more question if I can. Is that all right with you? So Katrina's just sent through another one, very specific question. I know Katrina is actually a vet student, so she's asking all the questions related to that, which is great. How do you ensure the dogs stay separate before sterilization so that no accidents happen?
Well, obviously that's not possible because the dogs are all running around together in the township. We've only ever had one that was just pregnant on the table, but that's the only one we've ever had. So the others we've caught. That one that was on season wasn't pregnant. So yeah, we've been lucky, I guess. But we can't. There's no way of keeping them separate before sterilizing. It's just impossible.
Okay. Awesome. I think that's about it from us. But thank you so much. Any final words from you, or anything else you want to say to people watching or watching the replay?
I think just to thank everybody for their support and for all the followers and all the support that we get. We on Facebook we're constantly getting such amazing comments and feedback from people. So we thank everybody for that.
Awesome. No, big thank yous are coming through from everyone, just to say thank you so much for all of this, and just a massive thank you to you, Lisa. Really, just thank you for your time. I know you're freezing at the moment in the Drakensberg, so I appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat with us.
No
really,
I'm going back to the fire now.
Definitely, go to have a glass of wine and enjoy the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Roger. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So to everyone, that is it. Just please remember that because we're a social enterprise, most of what we do is quite simply a no income sort of goodwill. So don't forget that if you do contact any of these projects that we talk about, please tell them where you heard about them. This really helps us and them know exactly what little bits of awareness are working. We're also really welcoming you at the moment to send through any ideas or suggestions of any live stream topics or projects. You can visit our website and see all the projects that we have listed, that we've personally visited as well, and tell us which ones you'd like to hear from. And finally, for those of you that have seen a few of our live streams already now, you may have noticed that at the end credits, there's a relevance to the area of the project that we've just been speaking about. So look out for the footage we're going to show right after this. It isn't just random driving footage. It's actually footage from nearby to where Lisa's talking about. And finally, I would just also like to say, you've not been watching a TV show from the 70s. It's just me without a haircut. So 3 months of lockdown. I will endeavor to try and clean myself up a bit for next time. But thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Lisa. And we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks all.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye-bye.